with another celiac disease expert in a certain field. Tonight we will be talking with Christy P. I always feel bad when someone mispronounces my name, so I just don't want to say it in case I get it wrong. So we'll be talking about gluten-free travel. She is a travel agent. And really quick, just so you know, there is a gluten-free giveaway going on live on my Instagram feed right now for cheesecake. So check that out too when we're done watching. Sorry. Christy. Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Okay. I've been doing so many days. Usually I do concealer and stuff, so I look better, but my eyes are bothering me. I probably look rough right now. I'm just oh.
I actually put a little lip gloss on, put my wedding ring back on.
Wow.
I just kept running into the wall in my house with it, so I was like, forget it, I'm taking it off. So for the video, I brought it back to life.
I put on some blush and retouched up my eyeliner, but I have the awful, I don't know what it is about my eyes, but whatever. Anyway, so I will let you introduce yourself, and I was just saying, I don't want to mispronounce your last name, so I'm not even going to say it, so I will let you introduce who you are and what you do.
I think my name comes out differently myself every time I say it, so it's totally fine.
All right.
I am Christy Pudyk. I am Pack Your Pixie Dust on social media. I am a travel agent and an attorney, actually, and I am a travel agent with Just Cruises and Vacations in Clinton Township, so we are an actual brick-and-mortar agency, and I'm considered an outside agent with them. And then I am celiac as well, so we are travel addicts in my family, so it was a fun lesson to figure out how to deal with gluten-free travel while traveling. Right.
And we're being joined to Jennifer. Her Instagram account is the Nomadic. That's Patrick's, and they've been to Peru and everywhere. They've been lots of places. So I asked her just tell her we're going to be talking about travel tonight, so make sure you watch. So just saying hi to Jennifer.
It's actually easier to be in other countries, honestly, than the United States gluten-free. So there's a language barrier in theory, but it's easier overall because we put gluten in everything and it's hidden on all kinds of, all items. But overseas, they don't do it as much.
That's awesome. I know when I was telling this story last week, I think, my college roommate, she married a gentleman from India. And their wedding reception, Indian food is primarily gluten-free. There's not a lot of gluten in anything. And I was so excited because it was for once a buffet that I could pretty much eat everything. It was exciting.
It's very nice. So do you eat off a buffet when you encounter one?
I'll probably do a salad bar, but probably, I don't know. Usually we don't go to those types of restaurants in general. When people say, where do you want to go? And they usually let me pick. So I say, I'm going, let's go to Red Robin or some other restaurant that I trust. I just say Red Robin because it's a chain and I've always had good luck. So
yeah, I do well with Red Robin as well.
So obviously this is a crazy time to be a travel agent.
Not a lot of money in that at the moment, but
right. And Disney Springs opened back up last weekend?
Today.
This weekend? Today. Perfect timing for us to talk.
Yeah, it's a limited opening. I actually was off social media a bit today, so I've missed most of how it's turning out. And tomorrow, Walt Disney World is submitting its plans to Orange County, is that right? That doesn't sound right. That sounds like California. I don't know, whatever county. I can't, it's escaped my brain all of a sudden. It might still be Orange County. But anyway, Walt Disney World is submitting their plans to the county to reopen, and in those plans are going to mention the date that they are opening. So that's very exciting.
I know I've been following your mug collection every day, which I'm like, holy cow, she's got a lot of mugs.
And
I thought my husband had how many?
8 to 10. We put in the donate pile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think I have like 63 or something like that.
Wow. Because I'm like, my husband has a lot, but like, nope, he doesn't have a lot compared to you. You have a lot of mugs.
I know. And I was on Shop Disney earlier today. And I was like, oh, there's some more out there that I want.
Mm-hmm.
I
saw a really cool one today that was about different women, like empower like Michelle and inspire like Maya Angelou. Like it was a bunch of different famous women's first names and like be that kind of woman that will help others kind of a thing.
I like it.
And then I asked somebody where they got it and they said, oh, a friend gave it to me. I don't know where they got it from. I'm like, because like I did an image search there, I couldn't find it. So I have no idea where it came from. I was bummed. So in regard, and hello Urban Life, thanks for joining. She also has a gluten-free blog. So again, we're talking with Christy from Pack Your Pixie Dust. So what I usually approach you and ask you to share like your top 4 or 5 tips if you have celiac disease or really kind of any food intolerance. Like when you're traveling, what are the things you should do before you go and when you're there? Like what's your biggest tips?
So my biggest tips is just a little bit of preparation before you go. So there are, let's say you're going to do an all-inclusive in Mexico. There are some that are heavily like they're big time buffets all day long. Like morning, noon, night, people are eating at the buffet. That's what they're going to want to serve you. That's really all they're interested in. So maybe don't pick those places. So part of it would be, one thing that people don't know is that it does not cost extra to book a trip with a travel agent. Now, if you were doing like, I want a road trip to Florida and I want you to plan out everything, then there's probably a charge because there's not enough, we're paid on commission and there's not enough commission to put together a trip like that. But with your all-inclusive trips or a cruise or you're planning a trip to Walt Disney World or even you want to go to Las Vegas or a hotel in California, we can bundle those in packages and the companies pay us. So they pay us to book. So people don't have to pay a travel agent. So I say, think about actually using a travel agent because especially somebody who travels, we can help you figure out what to do and where to go and all of those things because we've done it. So the biggest thing is to do a little bit of research ahead of time. See what you're getting into. There are some all-inclusive resorts, for example, that are just really good, that have an actual culinary team to work with those with food allergies, intolerances, people with restrictions in their diet, that they can work with that person every single day to make sure that they're eating well.
Which ones, if you don't mind dropping some names?
No, well, the biggest one is Sandals, actually. Sandals and Beaches, they are the group with the culinary team. Like, it's literally an office that you go to that works with you every day. So, and they'll say, just kind of like on a cruise, I don't know if people know this, but if you cruise gluten-free, you tell them what you're going to eat the next day, and they prepare that for you gluten-free. So it's really nice. And
my dad and mom went to Alaska, it was last September. They went on my birthday. They left on my birthday. I dropped them off at the airport, and I'm like, bye, Dad. And they had a great time. And they always hear amazing reviews. And anybody goes on any cruise, it seems like cruises are like the top notch of dietary restrictions.
Yeah, they're really good because, and is my camera like shaking all over the place? Because my phone seems to be shaking. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Mine shook for a tiny second. So maybe you're seeing delay from mine. I have no idea. But you're fine.
Okay, now it seems better. I had it on a stand. So anyway, cruises are amazing because they actually have entire kitchens that they can do dietary restrictions with. So they really are. They're potentially the easiest place overall. But anyway, Sandals is really easy too. So they have an actual office. It's Sandals and Beaches. They're owned by the same company. Okay. They have an actual office that you go to the day, every day, sometime in the afternoon. Like they have these office hours, and you say they have all the menus, and they say, where do you want to eat? And you write up a slip with everywhere you want to eat. And like a pro tip is that when I've been there, I am not doing my I don't want to go every single day. It's not like it takes a ton of time, but it takes some time, and I want to be on vacation. So I would do like 2.5 days at a time.
Okay.
And that worked out perfectly. So you can go and do your 2.5 days at a time, and then tell them, and they have, like I said, all the menus. They can say, oh yeah, this is the place you can get onion rings here. You can get this there. You can get this there. So the special little items. But then also, so their locations are in the Caribbean. They really just don't cook with items with gluten in it. So, like, if you go to a buffet, you can say the chef will come out, and they'll do this on a cruise ship, too, if you're on a cruise ship buffet. And right now, we're in a world where there's just not going to be buffets for a while. So everybody's going to be eating kind of like we do, where they might offer a bunch of things, and then you say, this is what I would like on a plate, which is how, when I travel, that's how I handle a buffet. I am really not comfortable eating off of a buffet. So I'll look at it, we'll walk through, we'll see what I like, and then I'll have them plate that for me from the back. And that hasn't been an issue. So sometimes there's a language issue, a barrier, like in other countries, where if I am in another country and I'm trying to tell them in Spanish, which I do have a gluten-free card, a travel card that I use in Spanish because we do go to Spanish-speaking places a lot. But, like, I have a little bit of Spanish from 20 years ago, and so it's always a fun adventure when I'm trying to get them to understand why I need them to plate me the food from the back with my crazy Spanish. But anyway.
You need to have Jennifer go with you. She's a Spanish teacher, too.
Oh, yeah, she would be perfect. Let's do it, Jennifer.
Right.
So do a little research ahead of time. Find out where those places are that are going to be able to feed you. Oh, and I got distracted. I do this all the time. I'm really sorry. But the Sandals and Beaches, with their buffets, they'll have a couple of them, and almost all of their food is naturally gluten-free. So you can just go and eat. It's like,
That's awesome.
I wouldn't still eat off the buffet because people touch and tongs and all of this stuff. So personally, for me, I still order it from the back, but you can get this, this, and this, and they'll bring it to you, and it doesn't take that long. I
think what's great is I just assume that's great to know, because I would just assume that I'm going to feel like it's like a burden, like I'm burdening them. But if that's already their protocol, then I'm like, oh, well, you're used to this, and it's no big deal. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing with traveling is, like, we don't want to be that annoying person. So knowing the places to go to that already get this and do it top notch, they're like, oh yeah, no, we do this all the time. Not a big deal.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the comments, and they're like, you know Spanish, Jennifer? And there's like the conversation. See, at least I understand that.
Right. Yeah, that's Jonathan from Food Challenge. I don't know if you follow him. He does a lot of really great, like trying to look, yes, celiac disease is hard, but like trying to be positive. He's got a really interesting story, so I'd follow him. I have no idea what she just said. I'm like, poco means a little, the rest.
I can a little, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the slang or whatever is.
I have no idea, which
Jennifer,
is hilarious.
Tell us what you're saying.
Because my college roommate, the one that married the guy from India, she teaches Spanish in Texas, like college. Jonathan is awesome. Yes, Jonathan is awesome. But that's not what you said, Jennifer, in Spanish.
She said a little. But what was is ha-ha? Is that the...
Yeah, ha-ha. Like the J-A, like the ha. It's like a sound. Ha-ha. Like my college roommate, she'll laugh like that on the phone. She'll say, ha-ha, when I talk to her. She doesn't say ha-ha. She says, ha-ha. Like, she speaks Spanish so often that she, like, uses the accent all the time. Anyway, not that people want to hear me sound like that, but anyway.
Oh, well. Got it.
Yeah, ha-ha is ha-ha. Yep.
So you would get a Spanish lesson now.
I know. So Sandals and Beaches are great. Obviously, Disney cruises are going to be great because Disney is great. What other places would people maybe be surprised to know that you can do gluten-free really well? Or like other places? Yeah.
Italy, I think, is one where people are surprised, and they have it down. There's entire gluten-free restaurants. There's the gelato place that actually has my profile picture actually has me eating some of that gelato that I got in California, but they have locations in New York and in Rome and all over several places in Italy where it's entirely gluten-free. So people that are there getting their gelato don't know that they're eating gluten-free because it's just so good. That gelato story was sad. And actually, I had done some research ahead of time before going to Beverly Hills, California. I went in December. It was like 2 blocks from my hotel, and I didn't realize it until the last day.
Oh.
So
she's saying, is it Grum gelato? That's Jennifer's asking.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I've heard of them.
They're so good. And they have the entire place. And I got a cone, and I was like, oh my God. And I was literally going to pick up my cousin again to go to the airport. So it was like the very last second. I'm like, I'm just going to walk and go and see. We were like a block away from it the previous 2 days before because we had stopped at a store that was right there. I could have had it. I didn't know. So anyway.
There's a really great one, and I forget the name of it, or Eureka maybe, in London. There's a place that's like top 14 allergen free. Everything. Nice. And I'm like, when I go to London, when I go to London, I'm like, I love ice cream so much.
You gotta
so
say
I'm like,
when, not if.
Yeah. Well, right now everything feels like if, but
that is true. I'm going with the win, even in our current situation. I can't imagine not traveling.
Right. Well, and we're going to have to it's going to have to open back up at some point, or else the whole world economy will collapse. Like so many things are based on tourism. So
my sanity is based on tourism.
Right.
My son is like, when do we get to travel? He is very used to traveling a lot. So he's always like, when do we get to go back to Disney World?
I'm like, when does my husband go back to work?
Right?
That's right.
Well,
I love you, honey, if you're watching.
Your husband's a teacher, right?
Yes.
And I need my son to not be getting his education in my house. I need my son to get his education in the school.
That may or may not happen.
I know.
Was it? Are you familiar with Bridge? Like, it's a Michigan website that it's like a news website. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah, a little bit. So I have a friend who posts a bunch of their articles. So
and they had I think it was West Bloomfield. One of the school districts already submitted their plan for next year, and it's like 2 days on, 2 days off.
I don't see how that works.
My husband's thinking that's what we're going to have to do.
But what do us? This is not what this conversation's about. But what do I do with my child? He's not big enough to be home alone or self-sufficient or any of those things.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's another part of this question. I think West Bloomfield said that they would have childcare.
Do I have to pay for it?
That way, I have no idea. I don't know. It was like a tentative article in Bridge. Yeah, so I don't know. I just know that there's a couple of districts saying maybe it'll be like this 2 days. And I was talking to a friend, Christina Lane from Dessert for Two. She's not gluten-free, but everything is small batch recipes. I love her website. But she's like, Dallas is already making, or not Dallas, I think she lives in Austin. Maybe she lives someplace in Texas. Texas is big.
Yeah.
But she was already saying they're already making decisions for next school year.
Well,
so
yeah, our schools are talking. I am aware. I know some administrators, but
everyone's kind of like, eh. And then right now, everybody, for those of you who are watching that are not from Michigan, Christy lives in Michigan.
Yes.
Like, all the news right now is Midland, because massive historic flooding that's just like insane and a 500-year event kind of a thing.
Which we are so sorry for anybody who's experiencing that right now.
My husband's principal, like, she lives on Wixom Lake. Like, they had to evacuate their house, which I'm like, that's an hour north. What's she doing living an hour north from where she works? But okay. But that's a long drive to work. Right.
Not me.
But, right, yeah. Well, not me, because, yeah, we're safe, Jennifer. Midland's 60 miles northwest of us. So, and we're not, there's a little bit of flooding on the Flint River, but not anything like what Midland's going through. That's just unreal.
I'm further south. Is that the right direction?
Yes.
From you? So I am not experiencing that either.
Right.
Thankfully. But this is a lot. This is a lot for people. It's like already so much, and now their houses are flooded. I mean, that's a lot.
Right.
So
Yeah. But back to travel.
I also need my kid to be in school. So
no, I get it.
And if we're not in school, I need enough of the world to open so I can go somewhere with him.
Right.
When we weren't sure how things were going to be closed, but we knew the schools were going to be done, and the cruise ships, when they were still cruising, my husband and I were like, all right, which cruise lines have enough internet that we could take them on a cruise and work enough?
Right.
Because like I can even get a full day's work in, or we try to flip-flop and alternate and stuff, but it's hard to get a full day's work when we also have a 6-year-old that we're, dealing with. So, but we were like, what cruise line can we go on that has good enough internet but then the cruise line stopped cruising. So,
yeah. Yep.
So we're just here in our houses forever. Thinking about travel. So, I brought some snacks of a couple. I have a couple options of things that I will travel with. So,
good idea.
Want, like a quick, as long as I can, if I have a checked bag and I can have fluids, then I bring my Premier protein shake. I'm only aware of the glutenness of it. I don't know any other food restrictions. I'm assuming it has dairy in it because it's very milky. It contains milk. So I get these at Costco. They are very good. Premier Protein, the chocolate is my favorite, but they have a cookies and cream, and even the cookies and cream one is gluten-free.
That's good to know, especially because if something happens and you're like, what am I going to do for food? Great tips.
So, and this is 30 grams of protein, which I really like. Okay, and then the other thing also from Costco, hence the big box, are these clean bars. They taste a little bit like a candy bar. They have 15 grams of protein, 200 calories. Obviously, this would not be for peanut allergy people because they are made in a facility with peanuts, tree nuts, and eggs, and it contains soy and milk. But they are so yummy.
But I can see the box says certified gluten-free, so that's really nice.
Yes, and they taste really good, and they do fill me up for a good, I can eat this as a partial breakfast, or if I need to use it as a meal replacement. So, and then in terms of what other things that I'll do while I'm traveling is sometimes we'll go to a grocery store. If even when we were in Paris few years ago, I guess it was 5 years ago now, but we walked to the grocery store and bought cheeses and some lunch meat. And I think at that time they had the most amazing fresh squeezed orange juice machine on the planet. We drank so much orange juice on that trip. And so we bought orange juice, and then we could shove all that stuff in the mini fridge very creatively. I think the orange juice went on the balcony because we were in there in the winter. So I'll do things like that when we travel so that I can have, and I'll throw the granola bars in my backpack, but in my suitcase when we're traveling to actually have them be there with me. I went to Cuba last year. That one I was really worried about because Cuba said you're not allowed to bring food into the country. It was but I did it because I needed food. Is sort of what my thought was. And I will say I was a bit petrified that I was going to have to give away my food. And I didn't even need to eat my food because everything was basically naturally gluten-free there too. So they had bread and stuff, but they were easily able to make me in all the restaurants meals that were without that.
Wow.
They had a lot of dedicated fryers too. So there was fried cauliflower at one of our meals, and I think fried something else, and I was able to eat all that.
Wow, that's really encouraging. Not that Cuba's on the top of my list of places to go, but again, you'd be I don't know. And then to know that they're doing it well, you're wow, the United States still needs to step up their game.
The United States needs to really step up their game. And I don't know if it's it's because it's so cheap maybe to throw wheat flour in places or whatever, but it's everywhere and it doesn't need to be.
Right.
Jennifer almost went to Cuba in February. Well, maybe next February you could go again. But
that's good that you were able to tell your story so that way she'll feel more confident in going.
Yes.
So Yeah.
And I did actually, I'm the worst blogger ever. I have a blog that I never publish anything on, but I did publish a post on gluten-free in Cuba because there wasn't enough that I had found on the subject before I left. So that's why I wanted to make sure I had enough bars. So if I really was doing a meal replacement situation with my own food, I kind of had enough to get through.
Now, you were talking about traveling, and so have you ever gotten a doctor's note? Because theoretically, they say you can get a doctor's note and then they can't confiscate your food. Have you ever run into that?
I have not run into that. I have thought about it. When I was traveling and I was pregnant, I had a doctor's note so that I didn't have to go through metal detectors because and we were getting on the airplane, so we were still obviously getting radiation, but I was trying to limit how much of that I actually got. And I would use that in court too when I was going to court, but I didn't. And I had read about that. Now I know like TSA does give some people a hard time, or they'll go through everything and there's been some issues, but we have TSA pre-check, which obviously only works in our country. But
I have my enhanced ID so I can go to Canada, but now I can't go to Canada.
No, one day we'll travel.
One day, yeah, yes.
We'll be able to go to all these places again. So I have heard though the doctor's note works, and I want to get it, and I'm actually thinking of that because airports have less food right now. Like, so if somebody was going to travel, and some people are going to have to for work, or some people will have to for family obligations. People are obviously going to have to travel. I have a pilot friend, so he is out on the road right now, and he said that there is much less food in these airports now, and the planes are not serving food. We don't really know when, and they'll bring it all back. So, So Jennifer, that was Jennifer, right?
Yeah.
That is responding.
Customs vary.
Yeah, vary by country. And yes, she tried to bring Nutella and P&B into Australia and Argentina, and they took it away. How was gluten-free in Australia?
I would think it would be great because they're not allowed to even have oats in anything that's marked gluten-free in Australia, which I'd be like, that's like, because I can't do oats, even Purity Protocol, they still make me sick. And I'm like, that would be my heaven. Yeah. I'm like, let's go to Australia because they get it.
I'll be going back. I went when I was a kid, and I was actually diagnosed after I had my son. So I was having some issues before I had him. I mean, I was having issues before I had him, but like certain things were intensified after I had him. And then I did some research and it said hormones or whatever. So, so Jennifer said that Australia was incredible, gluten-free. Yeah. So that's good to know. It's really good to know. I'm telling you, everybody else is better. In London, I guess, they actually put on their menus everything that is gluten-free and can be gluten-free. And
well, and the UK in general, like they label for the top 14 food allergens, or we only label for 8. Probably going to be 9. They're probably going to add sesame here in the US pretty quickly, I think. But like, Canada, it's like, so here it's the top 8, Canada it's 11, and UK it's 14. So I'm like, come on, United States, we can do it, So yeah, I think
laws are the worst in my opinion, but
and I don't know if I'm trying to think where I've seen it. Like, there's been a lot of problems not a lot of problems, but there have been some problems in the UK with restaurants getting things wrong and like people dying, and those people go to jail. Like, UK law cracks down on that stuff. And so they're pretty thorough in auditing restaurants and checking food allergy protocols, I think. I mean, that's my understanding. I could be wrong, but
yeah, and that might be rough. And I don't even need them to do all of that. I need them to care enough.
Right.
But yeah, there needs to be more. There needs to be more. But I forget sometimes, like I have some friends that are dairy free, and for whatever reason, it's like, that part isn't sunk in. Sometimes I forget myself. Like, I haven't eaten something that I've forgotten to look at, but there's been times where I was like, oh, wait a minute. I have to find out. I can't just eat this.
Right. No, I've been diagnosed almost 20 years, and I still have moments like, excuse me, oh wait, like did I check that label? Like, wait a minute.
Right.
Like, what was in that again? So, and then there's the time, and there's also the times like, this is so good, this can't possibly be gluten free, and then you're like, but it is, and you're just like, you like question everything that you're eating.
So often I've had that. So often. Yeah. So that's always a fun adventure. And then, like you said the other night in one of your lives, that the labeling, or they'll change the products now, and so something used to be gluten free now is not. That's tough too.
And that's why I say, like, it's really great to follow FAIR. Like, usually, well, I mean, I guess they can add barley and rye and sneak it in when it wasn't before, but I think again, because we put wheat in everything, it's more likely to happen that they're adding wheat flour than they hadn't before. And I don't always tell people, I should tell them to follow FAIR, Food Allergy Research and Education, because they're great at alerting the public to say, hey, this major change is and one of these allergens is now going to be in this product.
No, it's
because, it was, who was it? It was like Lance. Somebody was adding peanut powder to their cheese crackers. I'm like, why? It doesn't make any sense.
Why?
I think protein, because they want to bump up their nutrition label, but this is, put whey protein powder in it or something. Don't put peanuts.
There's other proteins that they can put in there.
Either that, or they probably bought out a peanut company and it was like, oh, look, we got this product to use. Where can we put it?
Or they want to use the same plant or something to make it something like that. So the tips for travel, I think the first one is to just try to research ahead of time. I do use the Find Me Gluten Free app often. I check blogs, and then I follow other people who travel that are gluten free as well, that do a lot of travel, because then they'll go to the same places. Unfortunately, we also just travel to the same places over and over again, which is probably not the best.
But you feel safe.
I feel safe.
And then that's, like, kind of goes back to restaurants. I was talking to Tracy Stuckrath and someone she was interviewing the other night. And it's like, when we have celiac, like, if you get it wrong, we're going to tell people that you got it wrong. But if you get it right, we're going to go back and again and tell all of our friends to go too. So when you have a dietary restriction, we're going to keep going back to the same places.
Right.
Like, I need to go to Portland. So one of my friends who lives in Portland, I'm like, I need to go to Portland. I've never been to Portland because there's tons of just everything there. Tons
of gluten-free options. It was funny, in California, we thought there would be more readily available information about the gluten-free options. And the restaurants we went to, I was there for a very short weekend, but the restaurants that we went to were all great, but there wasn't very much information about the restaurants in advance that I could have looked up. So we just
frustrating.
Eventually walked up to him and were like, can you handle us? And we ate at our hotel quite a bit and stuff like that. So,
because I've heard other people say that California, like, you'd think California would be healthy and they'd be great, but I've heard from lots of people that say it's not the best place if you're gluten free. Like, Portland's great, Colorado's great.
Yeah.
I will give a shout out to Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is phenomenal here in Michigan. There's so many options. I have a post that I need to rework with options because I have friends that live there that can tell me stuff. But that's probably if I were to give a tip on what city to visit if you're gluten free in Michigan, Grand Rapids, hands down, without a problem. That would be it.
That's great.
Sometimes I feel like Detroit can be hit, especially downtown Detroit, can be very hit and miss. So,
well, it's that way with everything.
Right.
So, but I did a travel conference in Detroit. So it was our big Delta Vacations puts on Delta University for travel agents. Last year it was in Detroit, and I went and stayed because it's like pretty early morning. It's all day events. Right. And, there was the Hudson Cafe that's right in.
Yes.
So good.
Loved them so much.
Good. I was like, had so much yummy food. And then Wahlburgers is in Detroit. Yes. So there will be times that we'll make it where if we're driving to the airport, because we'll pass Detroit to get to the airport, we'll be like, oh, if it works out or whatever, if we have a late flight, let's stop at Wahlburgers on the way and have the.
We got one in Flint like a year ago. You can come hang out with me in Flint anytime you want.
I think there's one in Royal Oak now too.
I think so. Something like, yes, I think so.
So
I'd have to look.
Yeah, so there's like a couple, and there's Slo's Barbecue actually has a ton of gluten-free.
Have you ever been to the Elephant Room? I've been hearing about the Elephant Room from people that supposedly have a dedicated fryer. I've not been there because we went to Lucky's Detroit, which is now closed. Anyway, that place was awesome. But again, it's like I've heard great things, but again, just didn't get time to go. And then there's this place called Ups and Downs in Sarnia, so just over the bridge from Port Huron, that has dedicated, that do fish fries all the time, have dedicated fryer. So that's why. So it was so funny. I got that enhanced ID so I could go there for like my birthday, and then something happened, and then I couldn't, and then life just. So I'm looking forward to Canada when all this is over.
Well, the Raven in Port Huron. Have you ever been there? Oh my god!
Have you been to Sure. I can't believe I can't think of this because Rock died. The Atrium.
No.
They have a dedicated gluten-free prep space. Like the so it's really sad. It was owned by a couple and he died last year, which is Rock was amazing. Great personality. It's like across from the Raven.
Oh.
The Atrium Cafe and Parlor. And so it's like right on the corner of Military Street is, I think, that main street, and then like the street that you turn on to like get back onto 69, and it's like this old, and like one side of the restaurant is like all these stuff they bought from an old movie theater, so it's really old decorations. It's amazing. Go on my blog, there's pictures. Okay. But like they make from scratch gluten-free cake, and they have a huge gluten-free menu. And
the Raven does as well, and they have the amazing
soup
bread.
sampler.
And they're all these sides, and so if I have court out there, I always am making sure that I'm going there for a meal. But now I have to try the Atrium. Atrium?
Yes, Atrium Cafe and Parlor. Parlour. So it's like European spelling, so it's all fancy pants. But they're so down to earth. They're just a great place. They're awesome people.
That's great.
So what other tips do you got for us?
So we were talking about resorts or all-inclusives, and I'll just mention a couple more. Secrets, especially in the Riviera Maya, and so actually any secrets I have been to have been fantastic. So that's an all-inclusive resort. There's a lot of them in Mexico. Then they have them in other locations as well. They will put on their menu what's gluten-free, and then they also... they really are accommodating. Like we were at one, my husband and I, where it was a really quick trip too. But the problem with when my husband and I travel alone, our babysitter, which is my mom for my son, can like do shorter periods of time. So even if we're going to Mexico, wherever we go, we have to do it for like little periods of time. So they made me, because I wanted nachos, but it was a shared fryer. They like made me a plate of nachos from like pot and oil, and no big deal. We'll make that. They did that like 3 days in a row. Wow. So like that was really good. Dreams is owned by Secrets, and Dreams is the kids brand of Secrets, and so it's AM Resorts that owns them. They're really good. And then I never know how to say it, but Unico in Mexico is also really great with gluten-free. I ate very well there.
I'm so great for all these names too, because I will see in Facebook groups like I want to go to an inclusive resort, but I don't know where to go. So like now I know Sandals and Beaches, and then what were the ones you just said?
Secrets and Dreams.
Secrets. Sandals, Beaches, Secrets, Dreams. Okay.
And really, these people should just contact a travel agent, which is, I know it's bad, and it's not. I'm not saying even you have to contact me. There's others out there. But one that knows, because like I said already, it doesn't cost extra money to book with one. And so you can have that guidance. All the major cruise lines are really good about gluten-free dining. They have a system in place where you set it up with either your waiter or the head waiter with maitre d'. They have a different name depending on the cruise line. But they'll come and take your order for the next day. And so they'll make sure they can get you what they want. Plus, they also have naturally gluten-free items. They have a lot more naturally gluten-free items than anybody else. Carnival Cruise Line serves warm chocolate melting cake, and which is like undercooked brownie with a little tiny scoop of vanilla. And it is actually naturally gluten-free every night. But it still makes me really happy that when they serve it to me, they say gluten-free, so that there's just no question in my mind that I'm getting something that's safe for me.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody is eating gluten-free warm chocolate melting cake on a Carnival Cruise Line when they go there. And most people don't know that. And that's the thing I kind of want to get out, too, because people think that it's not fun to eat gluten-free or, oh, I want my food full of gluten. I hear that all the time, and so offensive. It bugs me.
Like the chocolate thunder from down under at Outback. People don't know that's gluten-free. I'm like, well, I know it is because I'll be eating it. But like other people have no clue.
No clue. So. And at Capitol Grill, they have the chocolate, what is it called? Tart? It's none of those
What's
words.
Capitol Grill? Is that in Detroit?
It's in Troy. It's a chain. It's like a high-end steakhouse.
Oh. Have you been to Sedona Tap House? I've heard some good things about Sedona.
I haven't. No. That's good that you've heard good things about it. I have been to. It also has stone all over it, and it was awful, and I was horribly glutened, and it really bugged me. I cannot think of the name.
Tell me privately.
Yes.
Well, have you been to Condado Tacos? And it's in Troy, I think.
No,
maybe not
but
Troy.
I need to go.
I need to talk to them. Like, I took pictures and went like the week before everything shut down. Like literally, like we went there on the 8th, and then and I meant to like interview them because it started in Ohio and Columbus, and I actually went to one in Columbus with friends, and so now we have one. So pretty much everything on the menu is gluten free except for the flour tortilla, and like their stuff is out of this world. Their queso is I could drink it.
I love tacos. Love that.
And it's like a build your own taco kind of thing. Like they have tacos you can pick from that they put their combinations, or there's just a sheet and like how many tacos do you want? What do you want in it? And you can mix and match and do whatever you want. So it's fun. Yeah. Yes. PB cookies. I feel bad because I'm like, I know her real name, but at the moment I'm drawing a blank. She lives outside of Columbus, so she knows exactly what Condado Tacos is. She's awesome. But yeah, well, thanks so much for your time, and that's a great tip. Like, I just always thought that you'd have to pay a lot of money for a travel agent. Now I know that you don't. So now I need to know that I need to. I mean, if I go to Canada, I'm probably not going to get a travel agent. I'm probably just going to drive over the border and use the Find Me Gluten Free app and go wherever. But yeah, definitely if we were to go on a trip some point in our life. It would definitely probably use
trip. Why are you going on trips?
Because my husband's a teacher, and that's the salary we live off of. Yeah.
We have teacher clients. They go on vacation too. I get it.
Yeah, no, I know.
I get it. And you have to budget, and everybody has priorities. So we always joke that I will not buy a coffee at a drive-through place unless it's necessary. I just make my own coffee every day. I bring my own water to work every day. I do all these things to not spend the money, so then I can put it all together and go on vacation.
And we do have a vacation budget. We do. And like we went to last summer, a year and a half ago now. We went to Texas, but to see my college roommate. So like we stayed at her house and she did all the driving, and like her husband again is from India and he cooked for us. I'm like, I was like in seventh heaven. I'm like, I want to eat all the food. It's so good. So it was just so wonderful. I'm more of a person, like I'll go someplace if I know somebody, like if I have someone else to go visit, like to just randomly go. But like I really, really, really want to go to Quebec. Like I keep telling, my husband used to help organize the trips. He's a French teacher, and they would go to France. And now because there's been some safety concerns before coronavirus, and plus just cost, like the school was going to go to Quebec because it's closer, it's cheaper, and I think it's there's a lot of French Canadian culture that's unique. You're not going to have it in France. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. So I really want to do a trip to Quebec. So
Well, hope one day we'll all be traveling again.
Yes.
And definitely have to get you there.
Yes.
You
So
know,
for those who were just joining us, we're talking again to Christy Pudyk.
yes.
Did I say it right? All right. From Pack Your Pixie Dust. So if you're looking for a travel agent, especially here in Michigan, she's a travel agent. She can help you. You can go to Pack Your Pixie Dust to connect with you, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
On all social media, and I have a website as well.
Right. And so people outside of Michigan can work with you too, right?
Oh, yeah. I have tons of clients from all over.
Okay. Great.
Including
so that way...
one in Canada, one from Australia, rather. So
oh, really? Cool.
That was always fun when it was time to figure out how to talk to each other. So
that would be a challenge. Oh, my goodness.
At night or in the morning. But, yeah. Because it was hard because they would have to call here. It was Walt Disney World for that particular client. But she was like, we'd have to call to the States to pay for things. And so, because in like London or England, those people, they have a travel agency that works with the people over there to book Walt Disney World. Australia does not. So she's like, it was really tough to call. I'm like, I can handle it. We can handle it for you. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I have learned so much about travel agents. Thank you, Christy.
Not quite what you were probably wanting, more about travel. Just
no, this was all. Yeah. No, I think that's, especially like I really appreciate the information about inclusives because, like, again, I see it in Facebook groups, but if someone were to ask me just through my blog, I'd be like, I have no idea. So now I know, and I know who to send them to get the even better answers. And obviously, if you want to go to Walt Disney World, then I'm going to send them to you and be like, you need to go through Christy because that's why you're Pack Your Pixie Dust. Like, you're Disney everything. Like, there's a Mickey Mouse. There's Mickey Mouse behind you. Like, I can see all your Disney stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're quite a Disney family.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm happy to help people and talk through plans. And I just love travel. We love travel so much. So,
yeah. And I think that's great, too, because it's important to remind people, like, this disease should not stop you from living your life.
No.
So.
And it took first we went, our first trip after I was diagnosed was Walt Disney World, because it really, truly is the easiest place to travel, gluten-free. But then even opening up from there, it was like, all right, we can figure this out. I want to still be able to go places.
Yep, baby steps. And then you just get your self-confidence, and then you just roll with it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we will catch up with you. Hopefully, I will see you in person, maybe when Tri-County has another in-person meeting, whenever that may be. But, yes.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.